My son installed a smart home security system in my house on Father's Day. He said it was for my safety. 3 weeks later, my son-in-law found something hidden in the software that made his hands shake. He looked at me and said, "Dad, someone has been watching you, listening to you, recording everything." I thought he was exaggerating. I thought there had to be an explanation. But when I discovered what my own son had been planning for months, I realized that Father's Day gift was never about keeping me safe. It was about making sure I had nowhere to hide when they came to take everything. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to stay connected with more real-life tales of betrayal and justice. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Quick note, while some details have been changed to protect privacy, the lessons and warnings in this story are very real. Any similarity to actual names or places is purely coincidental. I turned 71 on a Thursday in early June, and the summer had finally arrived in Burlington after one of those stubborn Ontario springs that refuses to let go. I woke up in the house my wife Patricia and I had bought 43 years ago, the same house where we raised our children, celebrated anniversaries, and weathered every storm life threw at us. Patricia passed 3 years ago, breast cancer, 18 months from diagnosis to the end. Some mornings I still reach for her side of the bed before I remember. The coffee maker clicked on at 6:30. I'd programmed it to do that because Patricia always had coffee ready when I came downstairs, and I couldn't bear the silence of a kitchen without that familiar sound. I poured myself a cup and stood at the window, watching the sun climb over the neighbors' rooftops. At my age, mornings feel like small victories. My phone buzzed on the counter. A text from my son Gregory. "Happy birthday, Dad. Coming over this afternoon with a surprise. Hope you're free." Free. As if a 71-year-old widower living alone had a packed social calendar. Gregory arrived around 2 o'clock with his wife Amanda. They came through the front door carrying boxes, smiling wide, that particular kind of smile that felt rehearsed even then, though I didn't want to admit it. "Dad, we've been worried about you," Gregory said, setting down a large box on the kitchen table. "Living alone at your age. We wanted to do something to help you feel more secure." I looked at the boxes. Smart home equipment, a video doorbell system, indoor cameras, a voice-activated speaker, motion sensors for the doors. The packaging promised peace of mind, 24-hour monitoring, the ability to check on your home from anywhere. It must have cost them $2,000 at least. "This is too much," I said. "I don't need all this." Amanda put her hand on my arm. She had a way of touching you that felt both intimate and clinical, like a nurse taking your pulse. "Harold, we'd feel so much better knowing you're safe. You can see who's at the door without getting up. If anything happens, help is just a voice command away. We'll set it all up for you," Gregory added. "You won't have to do anything." They spent the next 3 hours installing cameras, connecting devices, running wires. I made sandwiches and watched them work, feeling both grateful and somehow diminished. When did I become someone who needed to be monitored? "There," Gregory said finally, wiping his hands on his jeans. "All done. The app is on your phone. You can see all the camera feeds, talk to visitors at the door, even lock and unlock the house remotely." He showed me how to use it. The interface was simpler than I expected. I could see my front porch in crisp detail, my living room from 2 angles, even the backyard where Patricia's garden still bloomed every spring. "Thank you," I said, and I meant it. "This really is thoughtful." Gregory hugged me. "You're our dad. We want to take care of you." After they left, I walked through the house, looking at the little black cameras mounted in corners, the sleek doorbell with its glowing ring, the smart speaker sitting on my kitchen counter. The house felt different, safer, I told myself, protected. I had no idea I'd just installed my own surveillance system, operated by the people who wanted to destroy me. The following month passed quietly. I settled into a routine with the new technology, asked the speaker for weather reports, checked the doorbell camera when packages arrived, called Gregory once a week to thank him again and tell him how much I appreciated the gift. In July, my daughter Rebecca flew in from Calgary for a visit. She'd moved out west 20 years ago, married a man named Nathan Brooks, who worked in cybersecurity for one of the big oil companies. They had good lives out there, though I wished the distance wasn't so great. Nathan came with her this time. He was 48, tall and quiet, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. We'd always gotten along well. He reminded me of myself at that age, methodical and thoughtful, more comfortable with systems than small talk. Nice setup, Nathan said, looking at the cameras and the doorbell. When did you get all this? Gregory and Amanda installed it for Father's Day. Birthday present, really. I turned 71 in June. Nathan nodded slowly, but something in his expression shifted. That subtle change you notice in people who know things you don't. Mind if I take a look at the configuration? Professional curiosity. Go ahead. I made dinner while Nathan sat at my computer, clicking through screens and typing commands I couldn't follow. Rebecca helped me in the kitchen, and we talked about her work, her garden, whether she and Nathan were thinking about kids. The easy conversation of family reunions. Dad? Nathan's voice came from the living room. Different now. Careful. I set down my spatula and walked to where he sat. His face was pale. What is it? He turned the screen toward me. Lines of code I couldn't read. Diagrams that meant nothing to my untrained eyes. This system has a secondary access channel. Someone besides you can view all the camera feeds, listen through the microphones, even access your network traffic. That's probably the monitoring service. Gregory said it came with professional monitoring. Nathan shook his head. This isn't a monitoring service. This is a backdoor. Someone configured this before it was installed. They can see everything you do, hear everything you say, probably access any device connected to your home network. The room felt suddenly smaller. What are you saying? I'm saying someone is spying on you, Dad, through your own security system. And whoever set this up knew exactly what they were doing. Rebecca had come to stand beside me. Her hand found mine. Who installed this? Nathan asked quietly. I couldn't make myself say it. Couldn't form the words. My son. My firstborn child. The baby I'd held in the hospital 47 years ago, promising Patricia I'd protect him forever. Gregory, Rebecca said. Her voice was barely a whisper. Gregory and Amanda installed it. Nathan's jaw tightened. He looked at me with something between sympathy and resolve. We need to call the police. I wasn't in my living room anymore. I was standing in the backyard on a summer evening 30 years ago. Gregory was 17, home from his first year at university, helping me rebuild the deck that had finally rotted through. We worked side by side in comfortable silence, the way men do when words aren't necessary. Dad, he'd said, driving a nail with the easy confidence of youth. Thanks for always being there. I know I don't say it enough. You don't have to say it. I know. He'd grinned at me then, sawdust in his hair, my wife watching from the kitchen window. I'm going to take care of you when you're old. Just like you took care of us. The memory dissolved. I was back in my living room, 71 years old, discovering that my son had turned me into a surveillance target. Make the call, I said. Detective James Kowalski was in his early 50s, broad-shouldered, with the weathered face of someone who'd spent decades seeing the worst of human nature. He met us at the Hamilton Police Service's Financial Crimes Unit 2 days later. Nathan had documented everything he'd found, organized it into the kind of report that investigators could actually use. Kowalski reviewed the materials carefully. He asked Nathan technical questions that went over my head, nodded at the answers, made notes in a small leather notebook that looked like it had seen better days. Mr. Bergman, he said finally, turning to me, your son-in-law is correct. This system was configured as a surveillance tool before installation. Someone has complete access to your home environment. Audio, video, network traffic. He paused. This isn't amateur work. This is deliberate and sophisticated. What does that mean? It means someone is gathering intelligence on you. Your routines, your communications, your financial activities. He leaned forward. Mr. Bergman, do you have significant assets? Property? Investments? Insurance policies? I thought about it. Patricia and I had been careful with money. 40 years as an accountant taught me the value of planning. The house was worth close to $2 million in today's market. We had investments, retirement savings, a pension from my years at the firm, and yes, life insurance. $800,000, split between my 2 children. I'm comfortable, I said. Not wealthy, but comfortable. Kowalski nodded like he'd expected exactly that answer. In my experience, when family members install surveillance on elderly relatives, there's usually a larger scheme in motion. They're gathering information for something. Elderly relatives. The word stung. When did I become elderly? When did I become someone to be managed and exploited? What kind of scheme? financial exploitation, power of attorney abuse, guardianship fraud. He listed them methodically. Someone wants control of your assets, and they're building the foundation to take it. Nathan spoke up. Can you investigate without tipping them off? That's exactly what we need to do. Mr. Bergman, I'm going to ask you to do something difficult. I need you to act normal. Keep using the system as if nothing has changed. Let them think their surveillance is still secret. You want me to pretend I don't know. I want you to protect yourself. Give us time to find out what they're planning. Can you do that? I looked at Rebecca, at Nathan, at the detective who'd seen this story play out too many times before. I can do that. I drove home that evening with a weight in my chest I hadn't felt since Patricia's diagnosis. The house looked the same as always. Patricia's roses blooming by the front door, the fresh paint I'd applied last spring. But now I saw the cameras differently. They weren't protection. They were eyes, watching me, recording me, reporting back to my son. That night I sat in my living room and talked to myself. Not loudly, just conversational, the way old people do when loneliness becomes a permanent companion. Been thinking about the house? I said to no one, knowing someone was listening. Getting harder to keep up with everything. Maybe I should think about making some changes. Getting my affairs in order. The words tasted like betrayal. I was setting a trap for my own child. The next morning, I added more bait. Standing in the kitchen, phone nearby, I muttered about forgetting appointments. Mentioned being confused about my medications. Complained about how complicated everything had become since Patricia passed. I was building a character. The forgetful old man. The confused widower who couldn't manage his own life. I was giving them exactly what they wanted to hear. Gregory called that afternoon. Dad, how are you feeling? You sounded a little tired when we talked last week. Oh, you know how it is. Some days are better than others. Getting older isn't for the faint of heart. I've been worried about you. Amanda and I were talking, and we think maybe it's time to discuss some options. Options? Just planning. Making sure you're taken care of. We could come by this weekend, help you organize some things. That would be nice, son. I could use the help. After I hung up, I called Detective Kowalski and reported the conversation, word for word. Gregory and Amanda arrived on Saturday with folders full of documents. They spread papers across my kitchen table while I made coffee, playing the role of the grateful father who was finally accepting help. We've been doing some research, Amanda said. She always took the lead in these conversations. Gregory deferred to her in everything. There are some really nice communities nearby, places that take care of everything for you. I looked at the brochures. Assisted living facilities, memory care units, places where they store the elderly until we stop being problems. And I've been talking to a lawyer, Gregory added, not quite meeting my eyes, about setting up a power of attorney, just as a precaution, so someone can help manage things if you ever need it. Power of attorney, I repeated slowly, as if the concept confused me. It's standard planning, Amanda assured me. Everyone does it at a certain age. She slid a document toward me, legal language dense as concrete, lines for signatures at the bottom. I pretended to read it. This is a lot to take in. Can I think about it? Of course, Dad. Gregory's relief was palpable. No rush. We just want to help. After they left, I photographed every document, sent the images to Detective Kowalski. Then I went to the basement and started going through boxes I hadn't touched in years. Patricia had been the organized one. Every important document filed and labeled, every receipt saved, every record preserved. After she passed, I couldn't bring myself to disturb her system. It felt like erasing her. Now I went through everything methodically. Insurance policies, tax returns, bank statements, property records, years of accumulated paperwork, the financial archaeology of a lifetime. I found it in a box of miscellaneous documents, wedged between old medical records and expired warranties. A folder that didn't match Patricia's careful system. No label, just plain manila. Inside were papers that stopped my heart. Capacity assessment forms with my name and information, but with symptoms I'd never experienced. Memory loss, confusion, inability to manage daily activities. The boxes were checked in pencil, as if someone was practicing for an appointment that hadn't happened yet. Guardianship petition templates. Ontario government forms for having someone declared incapable. My personal details already filled in. Financial summaries. Printouts of my bank accounts. my investment portfolio, the deed to my house. Information I'd never shared with anyone except my financial advisor. And at the bottom, a handwritten timeline that made my hands tremble. The handwriting was Gregory's. I'd been reading it on birthday cards for 47 years. Phase 1, install monitoring system. Establish baseline patterns. June. Phase 2, document signs of confusion. Build case for incapacity. July, September. Phase 3, get POA signed. Present as routine planning. October. Phase 4, file guardianship petition, medical assessment. November. Phase 5, assume control. Liquidate assets. December, January. At the bottom, a note in different handwriting. Amanda's. D says we need to move faster. His health is too good. Find ways to make him seem worse. Check medication options. D. Derek. I'd heard Amanda mention the name once. A friend from her business network. Someone who knew about financial planning. My son had written a step-by-step plan to erase me. My daughter-in-law was looking for ways to make me appear sicker than I was. And someone named Derek was orchestrating the whole thing. I stood in that basement for a long time, holding papers that proved my own child wanted to destroy me. Then I called the detective. I found everything, I said. The whole plan. Detective Kowalski moved fast after that. Within a week, his team had identified Derek Hollis, Amanda's financial advisor friend. The man had a record, 5 years, in a British Columbia correctional facility for elder financial abuse. He'd targeted a widow in Victoria, gained her trust, convinced her daughter to help him drain her accounts. Nearly $300,000 before he was caught. He's a specialist, Kowalski explained when we met at the station. Finds families with elderly relatives and significant assets, usually recruits someone close to the target. A child who's in financial trouble, who can be convinced that exploiting their own parent is somehow justified. Is my son in trouble? Financially? Kowalski nodded slowly. We've been looking into their background. Gregory and Amanda opened a restaurant in Mississauga 4 years ago. High-end place. Expensive location. It failed within 18 months. They're currently carrying over $400,000 in debt. Credit cards maxed out. Second mortgage on their house. Collection agencies calling. $400,000. My son was drowning in debt, and he'd never told me. Would I have helped if he'd asked? I said, more to myself than to Kowalski. Of course I would have. He's my son. That's what makes this crime so insidious, Mr. Bergman. People like Derek Hollis convince their accomplices that asking for help isn't an option. That taking is easier than asking. That the elderly parent won't miss what they never knew they lost. What do we do now? Now we set the trap. The plan was simple. I would continue playing the confused old man. Gregory and Amanda would push for the power of attorney signing. When they brought me to the lawyer's office, police would be waiting. But first, we needed evidence of conspiracy. Evidence that connected Derek Hollis to the scheme. I went home and continued my performance. More muttering about confusion. More complaints about being overwhelmed. I let the house get messier than Patricia would have ever allowed. Left dishes in the sink. Forgot to water the garden. Gregory called more frequently now. Dad, you sound tired. Are you taking your medications? Dad, have you been eating properly? Dad, we really should finalize those documents. Each call was recorded. Each conversation logged. The web was building. Then Kowalski called with news that changed everything. We intercepted a conversation between Amanda and Derek Hollis. I need you to hear this. He played the recording through the phone. The audio was slightly muffled, but clear enough. Amanda's voice. He's going to sign next week. Gregory's taking him to the lawyer on Thursday. Derek's voice. Smooth and professional. Good. Once you have power of attorney, move quickly. The guardianship petition should be ready to file within days. We'll need the medical assessment, but I have a contact who can expedite that. What about his daughter? She visits sometimes. She lives in Calgary. By the time she realizes anything is wrong, it'll be done. These things move fast when you have the right paperwork. A pause. Then Amanda again, her voice lower. What about the insurance? $800,000 is a lot of money. Derek laughed. One step at a time. Let's get control of the assets first. The insurance is a long game. What does that mean? It means elderly people in care facilities have accidents all the time. Falls, medication errors. Nobody looks too closely. The recording ended. I sat in my empty kitchen, listening to people discuss my life, as if it were an inventory to be liquidated. Discuss my death, as if it were just another transaction. They're talking about killing me, I said. We have enough for arrests now, Kowalski replied. But I want to catch them in the act. The signing on Thursday. Can you go through with it? I thought about Gregory, about the boy who'd helped me build the deck, the teenager I'd driven to hockey practice in frozen January mornings, the man who'd held my hand at Patricia's funeral and told me we'd get through this together. That man wanted me dead. I'll be there, I said. The lawyer's office was on the second floor of a professional building in downtown Burlington. Gregory drove me there on Thursday morning, making small talk about the weather, about sports, about nothing that mattered. Amanda sat in the back seat, reviewing documents on her phone. You're doing the right thing, Dad, Gregory said as we walked to the elevator. This will make everything so much easier. The reception area was quiet. A young woman led us to a conference room where a man in an expensive suit was already waiting. He introduced himself as Richard Pemberton, attorney at law. Mr. Bergman, he said warmly, so glad you could come. Your son has told me so much about you. I wondered how much Derek Hollis was paying him to participate in this fraud. We sat at the conference table. Pemberton spread documents in front of me. Power of attorney forms, healthcare directives, banking authorizations, everything someone would need to take complete control of another person's life. Now, Mr. Bergman, if you'll just sign here and initial at the bottom of each page. I picked up the pen, looked at the papers, looked at my son's expectant face. Before I sign anything, I said quietly, I'd like to understand exactly what these documents allow. Gregory's smile flickered. Dad, we've been over this. It's just standard planning. Have we been over it? Because I don't remember agreeing to make you the sole beneficiary of my life insurance. I don't remember agreeing to the guardianship petition you've already prepared. And I certainly don't remember agreeing to let Amanda's friend Derek Hollis plan my eventual death. The silence that followed was absolute. Pemberton's face drained of color. Amanda's hand froze over her phone. Gregory stared at me as if I'd grown a second head. Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. The conference room door opened. Detective Kowalski walked in, followed by 4 uniformed officers. Gregory Bergman, Amanda Bergman, Richard Pemberton. You're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and elder abuse. You have the right to retain and instruct counsel without delay. Gregory stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. This is insane. Dad, tell them this is a mistake. I looked at my son, at the panic in his eyes, at the man he'd become. It's not a mistake, Gregory. I've heard everything. The phone calls with Derek, your plans for my house, my savings, my insurance. I know about the timeline you wrote. I know Amanda was looking into ways to make me seem sicker. I know Derek talked about accidents in care facilities. Gregory's face crumpled. Dad, please. We were desperate. The debt was crushing us. Derek said this was the only way. The only way was to ask me, I said, my voice breaking despite my best efforts. The only way was to trust me. I would have helped you, Gregory. I would have given you anything you needed. You're my son. I couldn't ask. He was crying now. I couldn't let you see what a failure I was. Derek said you'd never miss it. He said by the time you realized anything, by the time I realized anything, I'd be dead in a nursing home. The officers took his arms. Amanda had gone completely silent, her face a mask of calculation even now. Daddy, Gregory said as they led him toward the door, the words strange in the mouth of a 47-year-old man. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wanted to say something. Wanted to offer comfort, forgiveness, something a father should offer his child. But all I could think about was that recording. Amanda's voice asking about the insurance. Derek's voice explaining how elderly people have accidents. I said nothing. They led him away. They arrested Derek Hollis that evening at his apartment in Toronto. He tried to claim he was just a financial advisor, that he had no idea what Gregory and Amanda were planning. The evidence said otherwise. The man had been targeting vulnerable seniors for over a decade. My family was just his latest project. The investigation took months. Forensic accountants traced the money. Digital specialists recovered deleted communications. Witness after witness came forward as Kowalski's team uncovered the full scope of Derek's operation. At least 12 families had been victimized over the years. 3 elderly people had died under suspicious circumstances in care facilities Derek had recommended. The trial was in February. I attended every day. I needed to see it. Needed to understand how the little boy I'd raised had become a man capable of plotting his father's destruction. Derek Hollis received 15 years in federal prison, multiple counts of fraud, conspiracy, and under new charges filed midway through the trial, 3 counts of criminal negligence causing death. The judge called him a predator who exploited family bonds for profit. Amanda received 4 years. She'd been Derek's active partner, recruiting her husband, researching methods to make me appear incapable, coordinating the technical surveillance. Gregory received a suspended sentence. 3 years of probation. Full cooperation with investigators had helped his case, as had his lack of prior criminal record and his obvious remorse. The judge acknowledged that he'd been manipulated by Derek and Amanda, though she made clear that manipulation was not an excuse. "You chose to betray your father," she said. "That choice has consequences." I filed a restraining order afterward. No contact, no calls, no letters. I changed my will, my insurance beneficiaries, my power of attorney. Rebecca handles everything now. Nathan set up new security systems, the real kind, ones that actually protect me instead of spy on me. The house feels different now, quieter. The cameras are gone, replaced by systems I control and understand. Patricia's roses still bloom every spring. Her ghost still walks these halls in my memory. Gregory writes me letters sometimes. They come through his lawyer, forwarded to Rebecca, who asks if I want to read them. I don't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Some wounds don't heal. Some trust, once broken, can't be rebuilt. I turned 72 alone. Rebecca called. Nathan sent a gift. I spent the day in Patricia's garden, pulling weeds, talking to her the way I do sometimes, when the loneliness gets too heavy. Our boy tried to steal my life, I told the roses. Our boy wanted me dead. The roses just bloomed, the way they do every year, beautiful and silent and indifferent to human tragedy. If you've stayed with me this far, I need to share something important. I'm not telling this story for sympathy or revenge. I'm telling it because it could happen to anyone. Elder financial abuse is one of the fastest-growing crimes in Canada. According to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, seniors lose hundreds of millions of dollars every year to fraud, and much of it is committed by family members. The people we trust most are often the ones who hurt us worst. Here are the warning signs I wish I'd recognized earlier. Pay attention. They might save you or someone you love. First, be cautious of expensive gifts that give others access to your home or information. Smart devices, phones, computers, security systems. If someone else controls the setup, someone else might control what it does. Always have an independent expert review any technology installed in your home. Second, watch for family members who suddenly show increased interest in your finances. Questions about your accounts, your investments, your property, your insurance. These questions might come from genuine concern. They might also be reconnaissance for something darker. Third, notice if someone starts suggesting you're confused, forgetful, or incapable. This might be honest observation. It might also be someone building a narrative to use against you. Document your own capabilities. Keep records of your decisions and activities. Fourth, never sign documents you don't fully understand. Power of attorney is a powerful tool. In the right hands, it protects you. In the wrong hands, it can destroy your independence, your finances, your life. Always have documents reviewed by an independent lawyer, one you choose yourself. Fifth, be wary of anyone who discourages you from talking to other family members or professionals. Isolation is the predator's greatest weapon. Stay connected, stay visible. Stay in touch with multiple people who care about you. Sixth, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. That uncomfortable feeling in your gut might be your mind recognizing a threat before your heart is willing to accept it. Seventh, know that it's never too late to ask for help. Police, lawyers, doctors, social workers, trusted friends. Help exists. You don't have to face this alone. Finally, remember that financial desperation can make good people do terrible things. This doesn't excuse betrayal, but it helps explain it. If someone in your family is struggling, try to create space for them to ask for help before they decide that taking is easier than asking. My son made his choices. I've made mine. We may never speak again. Some nights I still dream about that 17-year-old boy on the deck, telling me he'd take care of me when I got old. I wake up reaching for a past that doesn't exist anymore. But I'm still here. Still in my home, still free, still myself. That's something. Maybe that's enough. If you're watching this video, wherever you are, learn from my story. Protect yourself. Protect the people you love. And remember that sometimes the greatest threat comes gift-wrapped, installed by someone who calls you dad. Stay safe out there. And thank you for listening to an old man who learned too late that trust can be a weapon, but who learned in time to save his own life.